Hey everybody, this is Atlas Cage, founder of Sky Titan Media and musician in the bands Strings of Atlas and Chords Vive, and you are listening to the Amato Podcast. So turn it up.
Twisted metal, broken glass, but you always seem to walk away without a scratch. Madness and mayhem roll like water off your back. You're the only one who ain't bleeding after the crash.
Here we are today. We're talking to Ashley Puckett. Ashley realized her passion for music at a young age. At age 16, she picked up the guitar, began writing songs, and the adventure begins. So, welcome.
Hi. Yeah, thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. And you told me you're coming from Pittsburgh. You're in Pittsburgh right now.
Yeah, just outside of Pittsburgh.
So how is, we'll get right to it. How is everything going for you guys out in Pittsburgh? We're in Easton, Pennsylvania, so we're both in Pennsylvania and on a lockdown. How is it?
It's been a one day at a time type thing. It's been taking a lot to get used to. I know for me, it was probably about a week and a half before I really realized, Ashley, you got to find something to do with your time. You got to make the most of this because it's not getting any better right now. So, it's been a change for sure. But, I've had a lot of time to focus on, music, which is, right now what everyone's turning to. Everyone's live streaming or looking at past videos and really connecting with everyone. So I've just been trying to take advantage of that and make the most of it and, see what the outcome is.
So it wasn't good timing for you because you just had your record just came out not too long ago.
Right. And, I had a show lined up too. It was going to be a really cool one. I was so super excited. It's not canceled. It was just rescheduled, but I was opening for Mark Chestnut. So it was all kind of a really weird time that all this started kind of happening.
When you've been using, YouTube to stay in touch and Instagram to stay in touch with your fans?
Yes, I'm more so addicted to Facebook. So
Okay.
most people find me on Facebook updating stuff before Instagram. But between the two, I've had some success. I did a cool live interview type thing with one of my local radio stations, and I've just been trying to keep busy and do what I can.
Well, I know I appreciate it because I don't know, for some reason I like seeing that kind of stripped down, raw sound. It's not very produced, and you could wear a sweatshirt and sing a song. I like that. It's entertaining to me, and like everybody needs that right now, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to get used to everyone wanting live everything because I'm the opposite. I like things to be perfect. I like things to be, set up with the backgrounds and everything. So it's been a little bit of an adjustment there for me in those aspects.
Well, it's good practice for the future.
It is.
Could you take us back and tell me how you got into music? I mean, I just read that you picked up a guitar, but it wasn't that simple for you, was it?
No, actually, well, I guess it kind of was that simple. But for me, I've been singing since I was probably about 5 years old. So music kind of, I see, found me. It was just always something that growing up was in my life. So I really didn't have to go searching for something that, I enjoyed doing. And I guess I was on the lucky side of that because a lot of people don't have that. But as I went through school, I started doing, younger, I was doing talent shows, things like that. As I got older, I did play in a band. We would do other types of performances, church festivals. And then, I did start playing guitar. I've been songwriting since probably, very young. I probably got more serious, when I started my guitar playing as an aide, just with the writing process. So it was always something that I knew country was the direction. And, one day I wanted to share an album and, really see what I could do with music and open that up to the world. So here we are.
What is with Pittsburgh? It seems like there's a pretty big country fan base there and artists.
There is, and it's pretty cool. And, it's not just country. Pittsburgh itself is just huge for the music market. No matter what you're into, I mean, I'm obviously straight country when I sing with a little bit of blues and, I'll dabble with some pop and things like that here and there. But when you're going out at night, if you're in the mood for jazz or you're in the mood for rock and roll, there's something in Pittsburgh that, you probably don't have to drive more than 45 minutes in any direction to find anything. So, I'm very lucky for that too, to be able to sit in the middle of all kinds of musical influences.
That's you brought me right into my next question. Who are your musical influences while you were growing up or now?
Quite a few. Growing up, it was, a lot of artists like Carole King, Patsy Cline, the Dixie Chicks, Faith Hill, Leanne Rimes, Leanne Womack, Jody Messina, some newer faces, Miranda Lambert right now too, even Carrie Underwood. As I try to progress into my style, you have to look at, those who are out there right now too, because, they started years ago. And that's one thing that I look for. It's not just their songs, their music, and, how successful they are. It's a lot of how they got to where they are too, because that's one thing for me. This isn't an automatic overnight success. You have to work really hard and put a lot of time into everything in the music industry. So to see, Carrie Underwood in the making, where she's been after 10 so years, and, where Leanne Rimes was and how she is right now. I've seen her, I think less than a year ago, and she's still just as perfect as ever. So, I like to take little pointers from everyone out there, and, those were just some of my top few.
So you just said it. It's not an easy process. So for me, I'm not in the music business, but on Friday mornings, the Spotify comes out with all the brand new songs, and there's 50 of them, and I just push a button, and there they are. And I don't think about that whole struggle and that whole process. Could you take us through from point A, when you're starting to write that song, until a song actually gets published and played? How difficult is that?
So the songwriting process for me, I don't really have one. Songwriting is one of those things, I can be driving in the car and I get this melody in my head, or I think a lot, and, it could be something that just crossed my mind at the time. I laugh and say that even sometimes in the shower, I'll get some of my best ideas because that's when I'm not thinking. That's when I'm probably the most calm of the day. I'll pull out my phone recorder if I'm sitting somewhere and just record a melody or some lyrics. My notepad on my phone is usually what I do also. And, there are times that I'll sit down and really just try to focus on finishing a song. I do have a couple right now that I'm dying to finish. It's just every time I sit down, nothing seems perfect. So in those types of situations, I'll just set it aside and start doing something else, because I don't like to rush it if it's not going to work out. But the songs on the album, none of them I had written. We had discussed after, a lot of thinking of what this first album was going to reflect. And we had chosen a lot of different songwriters on there. There's a collection from all over the place, a lot of Grammy award-winning selections as well. So we chose that, to get us off into a good direction. And for me, that was actually a pretty cool process too, though, because I went through a ton of different songs before I hand selected 13. And I wanted that to be something that I could share as if I was the writer. Because the last thing an artist wants to do is put out a song that, you have no meaning behind, because you're going to be singing these songs, for a good long while to come before, God willing, another album comes. And, so I wanted it to be something that I've either lived through, something that I've been close to, I've seen, those types of situations in the songs. So that way, not only is my audience relating, but I'm also relating as if I was a songwriter. So it was a very cool process to select those and really take that to heart too. But after that, I mean, in saying, I'm taking songwriters' work and turning that into something of my own, that itself was a creative process. And that's, I'd say, what took a lot of the time in the studio, collaborating with my producer, my sound engineer, the musicians. That was the bulk of the time of anything.
So the album is Never Say Never. What does it feel like when it's finally done? Is it just a big sigh of relief, or is it even more excitement because now you have all this other stuff that you have to do with publicity and shows and performing?
Yes, it was a little bit of all of that. I'm still taking it in, and we did a digital release first, just because that's where most people these days are finding their music. So we put the album out, released on Valentine's Day, so this is past February, and then the CD should be set for sale probably today at some point on the website, for the actual CDs. So we held a little bit of time on that one, just with a lot of stuff going on, and then with all the craziness in the world right now, it was pushed back a little further, and not a top priority. But I think for me, it's still, I don't even know if I hold the CD in my hand, if I'm still going to be like, oh, this finally happened. It's still a little bit surreal that something I've wanted my whole life is finally here. And I mean, it's pretty cool, I guess. But I think
It's
I'm
amazing.
still trying to figure out what's going on. And then I think the coolest thing with all this was I went to finally get merchandise, and I got an email from one of the women in the company, and she says, I can't print these shirts for you because Ashley is actually protected with copyright laws. So I'm like, oh, well, I am Ashley. So that was an interesting that was an interesting moment for me to say, this is actually real. And that was pretty cool. That just happened a couple days ago, so it was fresh on my mind. But I think a lot of that, as I stumble into interviews and hearing myself on the radio and different things like that, it's taking time to really process, what's really going on.
Because you're in the middle of it, so I can't even ask you, hey, what does it feel like that a dream finally came true? You're in it.
Right.
At what point did you realize that you were good and you could do it professionally?
It's a good question. I was put it that way before. I don't know. I mean, I've been doing this, like I said, virtually my whole life, and I think after, I'd say when I took it the most serious is probably toward the end of high school, right out of high school. I did a lot of talent shows, and I think high school around maybe 11th grade was the first show that I had won. It was called the Norman Idol. So I won 3 years in a row, and I think at that point that was enough courage to say, people like me. And to top that, I won with songs that I had written myself. So that was really good, I think, looking back, going into the real world of music, because it was something that I'm like, well, if these audiences like this for 3 years in a row, and everything I have, I mean, I had so many supporters too. My parents were huge supporters growing up too. So I had a lot of people behind me, saying that you really got something here. And if I would let off the gas a little bit, I always had people saying, you're wasting your talent. God gave you this for a reason. What are you doing? So I always had that too, to fall back on. So it's just kind of always there.
Is it hard? You've actually told me you're a perfectionist twice. Is it hard to? That's all right. I understand. Is it hard to put yourself out there? I mean, here's an album with everything that you have into it, and to look at the feedback, because not everybody's always nice, honestly, online.
Right. And you know what? Because of that, you have to be in this business, you have to be able to say, I know not everyone's going to like what I do. Not everyone's going to enjoy my music. Heck, some people don't even like country music as a whole. So, I'm okay with that. Do I take it to heart sometimes? Sometimes. I think that's human. I don't think everyone just brushes those types of comments off, but it makes you think, but it's something that I know it's okay. I'm not here to please everyone. I don't think anyone would ever be able to please everyone in this world. There's so many different kinds of human beings out there. So I'm okay with it. I obviously try my best to do what I can to, appeal to the most amount of people in an audience. But at the end of the day, I don't think there's any artist out there that is ever capable of that, no matter how good you are.
Exactly. So again, the album's Never Say Never. Could you tell us, what we should look for on the album? What are you most proud of? What songs are the go-to songs for you?
So I can tell you that there's something special about every single one of them. Number 13 was our very last song. It is called Weightless. And that's a very sweet, romantic, I like to say it's almost like a fairy tale type song. That one's really special to me because that one almost wasn't on the album. That was one we added. We were just about over 3/4 of the way done with the entire project, and then added that in last. So it's a really special one. Never Say Never is the title track. That one, I absolutely fell in love with the melody, the lyrics. There's not a bad part of that song. And I just think the mix of the song, just what the guys did with it in the studio, is perfect. So that's one of my favorites. Bulletproof right now is going to be our current single. It's a lot more edgy. It's a lot more, I say, hardcore country. There's a little sassiness. So it's a little bit of a different version of me versus some of the more romantic songs. So it's really cool to see that. There's another one, I Will Remember You. If any tear-jerking songs are on the album, it's probably that one. So there's so many good ones. I'm really proud of the whole thing and every single track on there, to be honest with you.
So once we're out of this, whatever we want to call this, the pandemic or the virus, how do you jumpstart the schedule again? What are your plans?
Well, I've been doing this one day at a time, so I figured, at that point that was going to be a one day at a time type thing too. Obviously I've been keeping myself busy. I've really been, doing mock concerts, at least going through some different things personally. That way I'm prepared whenever stuff starts going back to normal. But yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't know if this is going to be like a slow, us all getting back to normal very slowly. Is it all going to happen at once? So I really haven't, thought too much about that part of it.
So now you're younger than I am, obviously, but I remember going down the street and being able to buy an actual vinyl record. They came out every Tuesday morning. How has Spotify and you said Facebook and YouTube hurt, but also helped an artist today?
Yeah, I think it's a little bittersweet. It's nice because even me as a listener and not even an artist, music is everywhere at your fingertips. If I have a song stuck in my head, I'm just as bad as everyone else. I'll go to YouTube, I'll go, to Spotify, and I'll just pull up that song and listen to it. And everyone does it, so it's nothing to be ashamed of. But at the other point of it, we as artists, we make our living with our music. So the only way we're making a living now is if you're actually downloading those songs, adding them to your playlist, buying physical albums, buying merchandise, or going to see a show. So, the that aspect of it has changed a lot. But also because of it, we're more readily available to everyone out there. So, if you hear my ad on the radio and you say, oh, well, who's Ashley Puckett? You can just go search and listen to everything right there and see whether you like it or not to buy it. So it's a good and a bad thing, I guess, which you'll see with most things, I suppose, in the world right now. So, overall, I'd say it's probably better to have everything out there in the open because ultimately your goal is to, get fans and get friends that want to come see you at those shows, and that's where you make your money. So, it's better to have a wider range of opportunity, I suppose.
What's it feel like that your music can touch so many people in different ways? So, make them happy or help them through a hard time?
Honestly, that's my favorite part of doing what I do. For me, I write to reflect feelings of something and get through something or to share something. And when I sing, it's the same thing. But to hear somebody come back and let you know that, this touched me because of this, or this brought back some kind of memory, that's the most touching part of this whole thing. And And to be honest, that's what I do this for. I can't speak for every artist out there. It's to why they're out there doing what they do, because it's fun, they love it, or it's in memory of somebody. But for me, it's really just being able to touch, I always say if I can touch one or two people in an audience, no matter what the size, I feel I did my job, because somebody took something away from what I was trying to express.
So you're in the middle of an album release. But what do you do when you're not thinking about music? What do you like to do?
All kind of stuff. I'll do anything once. I'm a little bit more on the extreme side, so my type of stress relief, which I can't wait to do right now, is things like skydiving, bungee jumping. But I like a good movie here and there. I like to bowl once in a while. But anything extreme is pretty much what excites me.
Have you learned anything about yourself being locked at home?
I think it's just more apparent that I hate being home. if that's an answer. I'm just so used to going. I'm not one to sit still, and so it's been very hard to adjust to that. I've cleaned just about everything twice. I'm running out of things to do. I've found a few extra movies. My favorite TV series, Manifest, is done for its season, so now I don't even have that. So it's been interesting, but that's really all I've learned, to be honest.
Well, normally when we don't have the virus going on, you're stuck at home. What's the perfect day for you?
Well, usually if I'm stuck at home without all of this going on, it's probably just a relaxation day. Putting my feet up, either listening to music or watching a movie. Sometimes doing absolutely nothing, because there's usually so much music and stuff going on in the world that, I like silence once in a while. Maybe sip on a drink or something. So, if it's a normal day and I'm at home, it's usually just relaxing.
Nice. That sounds like a good day. So it's Ashley Puckett again. You check her out. I mean, she's on YouTube. You're awesome. The album is Never Say Never. Is there anything else you'd like to say before we say goodbye?
No, I just want to say thank you again for having me. And if you guys like what you hear, add me to your playlists. Everything's on my website, so check me out. Friend me on Facebook, follow me, and I hope to see you in the future at a show.
I appreciate it. And we're going to throw all your links up and hopefully get some people over your way and maybe see you one day.
All right, great. I appreciate it.
Cool. Thank you, Ashley. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.